see you guys in the dark.
I was essentially homeless about 7 to 8 years ago after breaking up with someone. Among other factors, I found a room in a boarding house. One of the other boarders was a guy around my age. I remember the first time I saw him was when I got out of the shower and was walking back to my room. He stared at me, but I thought it was kind of a whoops just looking out in the hall and seeing someone, but it didn't make any eye contact with me. The next day, there was a note under my door, basically saying, "Hey, I am your housemate. Let me know if you need anything or want to hang out." Having come out of a few bad situations, I was without many people, so we struck up a friendship. Over time, it became apparent he had a crush on me, and it had become very creepy. The more I learned about him, the more off I realized he was. He had two or maybe three kids, all of with different women. Whatever, that's fine. But custody? None with any of them. One he had supervised visitations with, one he had unsupervised visitation with, and the third his girlfriend moved away to get away from him and wouldn't tell him if the child even existed or not. Due to the issues with his kids and exes, he started to self-medicate with alcohol. He did this purposefully, and he admitted that this is why he was doing it, getting blackout drunk to deal with all of his feelings. That's when the stalking had started. One night during one of his blackouts, I thought I could calm him down, so I went to his room to keep the landlady from calling the cops. He grabbed my arm, pinned them to my sides, then laid on top of me, pinning me between him and the floor. I got out and ran. The police ended up being called, but he wasn't kicked out. After that, his obsession had grew, out of what I can only think was some sort of psychopathic guilt. Instead of apologizing and staying sober, he started tracking my movements. With this, more letters showed up under my door. A lot of them were very angry. The one I remember most was essentially accusing me of cheating on him. It was like a rambling manifesto, with things about how he knows I must be lying about him having a boyfriend now, because he left a cigarette between my door and the door jamb, and because it wasn't crushed, didn't fall out. I mean, I never came home, and I'd had a boyfriend I was staying the night with at the time. This would have been followed by strange text messages telling me that I deserved everything bad that happened to me, because apparently I had used him. I only lived there for about 5 to 6 weeks, but this started about a few days in and only ended when I had finally said fuck it and moved into a weekly apartment, which was way more expensive. I had just gotten a job, and I had the ability to pay for it, since I was genuinely afraid for my safety. I made sure to leave when I knew he wouldn't be there. The ex that I mentioned at the beginning of this, he was also actively threatening me during this whole time period. I had him blocked on everything, but the guy had found a loophole by sending me songs on Spotify related to what he was mad about that day, with messages attached to them so that he could actively berate me. When I was 16, I went on a blind date with a friend of a friend to a dance. We went to a different school, but we talked on the phone a couple of times leading up to the dance and got along pretty well. We had fun at the dance. We continued to talk on the phone a little while after that, but it was clear that he was really hung up on his ex-girlfriend, so I was losing interest fast. I stopped taking his phone calls close to Christmas when he told me his ideal gift would be his ex-girlfriend and a new boyfriend dead under his Christmas tree. He said that very seriously, and it had scared me. Apparently, no longer taking his calls was a mistake. He started sending messages through our mutual friend. That was increasingly insulting and upsetting. But the worst was when he knew which store in the mall I worked at. And then he would come by with his friends while I was stationed at the registers and wouldn't go anywhere. They would just stand outside the doors to the store and yell all kinds of things at me. I don't know how my coworkers and managers never thought there was an issue with this, but they did nothing. This went on for many weeks. The final message he sent through our mutual friends was that he was going to assault me. The friend clearly thought this was funny. I was at my locker at the end of the school day when this message was delivered, and I slammed the door right next to his face and snarled, "Screw you." I'm pretty sure that was the first time that I ever said that, and truly meant it. He looked surprised and backed away. I don't know exactly what he said to the stalker, but somehow the harassment stopped right after that. All the same, I was seriously on edge for a while, going to and from work, or any time I was home alone. In case he decided to follow up on his last message, I felt hunted. Fortunately, nothing came of it, but I feel stupid for not telling my parents or the school about what was going on. It's been almost 30 years, but that guy can still go screw himself. I was a shift leader at a Taco Bell. I was always on the floor with my crew, so I was at the front registers for the drive-through. I was 24, married, with 2 children, and I only lived a few streets away from the store. I would often walk to work to save gas. A guy a little older than me started coming in a lot. He was always very friendly, almost too friendly. He'd only come in on my shifts. I started to find out, and then it turned out he was there every single one of my shifts. I'd told my husband, so I don't think he ever came to our house, but he was a shadow at work. Then one day I came in and found him being trained by one of the assistant managers. He tried to get put on my shifts, but I freaked out and immediately went to the office to talk to the store manager. She had no idea about how he'd been in the store all the time. She knew that there was a guy, but she didn't know that it was him. She was horrified. She promised that she would keep him away from me until she could get him transferred to another store. She called the store closest to while I was standing there and got the transfer. He'd be out of our store for that day only. The next day would be at the other store, and it would be his own home store. She let me take the day off. She called in the other night manager. When I came to work the next day, she said that he had taken the news well, that he would have to go work at the other store and quit. He came in a few more times after that, so I got my husband to sit in the dining room to scare him off. I didn't see him after that.
If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and hit the bell for notifications on future videos, and become a stalker of the night. And I'll see you next time.